and learn why millions of people have already switched over to VoIP. Better phone service for less money. Hey, it's that simple. And welcome back to the Edge radio broadcast. On our Newsmaker line, we have with us this evening Sherry Shriner. Sherry, welcome back.
Well, thanks.
Well, it's good to have you back on, and we're talking about some fantastic things, but, it reminds me, years ago, I heard a preacher man on the radio saying that, we don't talk about that spooky spiritual stuff, and, a lot of people do, and they probably have demons, and I thought to myself, wasn't there some spooky spiritual stuff in a book I read? Like, I read in this one book, it said that, this guy was dead for 3 days, and somebody said something to him, and he came out of a grave after 3 days. And another place in this spiritual book, I heard there was an axe head that was threw overboard, and it floated to the top, and that one man was able to kill 3,000. I mean, shouldn't we be ready to accept some spooky spiritual stuff out of our normal belief?
Yeah. The churches just don't teach a lot of things that are in the Bible. They suppress them and bury them. They don't explain the sons of God as being referring to angels, that they came to earth and procreated with human women. And at the time of Noah, the one reason he destroyed the whole world with the flood was because it was Noah and his family that were the only ones left with pure human DNA. Everybody else was contaminated with alien blood.
Exactly.
And there were giants on the land. You can, you have all these evidence of giants they can't explain. These Anunnaki, these hybrid children that were born, were giants. And when they would feast on the humans when the animals ran out. And all of this stuff is coming again.
They'd feast on the humans?
Oh, sure. They would. I call them cannibals. It's not really correct because they're alien eaters. I don't know what you call them, but people understand it if you say they're cannibals. They understand exactly what you're talking about.
Well, why don't the aliens eat themselves? That'd eliminate the alien problem to begin with, wouldn't it?
Well, they've been eating humans for years. I mean, they've been, hundreds of years they've been eating humans off the planet. We have 300,000 missing people a year just in the United States alone.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even include the rest of the world, all of the missing people. I mean, where do these people go?
Yeah.
They're being abducted off the earth. They're being eaten by these aliens. And it's part of their one of the major reasons they had this prophet Yahweh going around to build a black bride so they could abduct them and put them in their food lockers.
Whoa. Whoa, so you're saying they have a taste for black people?
Well, they have a taste for all people, especially children. And so, human abduction going on for, millions of years, or thousands of years.
Because now I can see they like the little children because they're tender meat and or whatever.
Right, and adults have addictions. They don't like adult meat, but especially adults that have addictions, alcohol.
I think, why wouldn't they like an overweight person? Wouldn't they get a lot of meat that way?
Yeah, maybe they like lean muscle, so don't get into bodybuilding anytime soon.
Okay, well, I guess I got to figure out how to get myself to where I'm not very tasty to the alien creatures there. Maybe if I shower with some garlic or something, maybe that would help, or what?
Yeah, and there's something called licorice, not the candy, it's some kind of chemical element, licorice.
Yeah.
Licorice that they don't like.
Oh, they don't like that either.
Nicotine they don't like.
Well, it sounds like maybe you need to put that on your website, SherryShriner.com, of the things that they don't like to taste in humans.
Well, I've written about it in all my articles about the stuff they're going to do when they get here and what they plan on doing. It's practically a whole show in itself, just the fact that they plan on feasting on humans when they come.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would decrease the surplus population, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's their biggest thing. Everybody
let me ask you, though,
depopulation program is just a New World Order thing, part of the New World Order faction.
Okay.
It's actually from the aliens themselves that they forced them to do because they can't control 6 billion people. There's not enough of them.
But they could eat them.
And so they want to get the population down to a manageable size they can control.
Okay. So they just eat them to get them out of the way. Hey, well,
I wonder, and they do. They will.
Well, I'm wondering if would they prefer, say, a Muslim feast over a Christian feast?
I don't think they really matter at that point.
They don't check?
They don't care about your religious affiliation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why wouldn't they? If they're really rebellious spirits, it seemed like they wanted to go after the ones chosen by by the Creator that kicked them out of heaven.
Well, they are. They are going to come after the Lord's people. I mean, wouldn't
they love to eat God's people to like sort of put their fist in God's face? The alien three-clawed hand in the face of the Creator and say, "Look, we're eating your people. What are you going to do about it?"
Well, I'm sure they will once they chop your heads off. I mean, your body's just left there. And that's a good reason why they're only chopping your heads off, is so that the rest of the body's intact. They can harvest it for organs, and they can store it and eat it.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's a question for you. Do you think the aliens eat people after a natural disaster?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have asked me about New Orleans, and I had Peggy Kane on my show about 2 weeks ago, and we talked about this whole New Orleans thing. And she does the reverse speech, and she was catching it in their reverse speech, Bush and Cheney, Rumsfeld, and all them talking about it. That's exactly what happened. They used a lot of these people just in the New Orleans disaster as food.
All right, now here's a question. It's some sort of technical weapon question, I believe. I'm not familiar with it. Maybe you are. It says, when you're making a batch of Orgone blasters, do you coil the copper wire clockwise, starting from the top, or starting from the bottom?
Well, it's I would tell them, wrap it around 2 fingers to start in a clockwise motion, and then when you set it down in the pan, set it down so that when you're looking at it, it's going clockwise.
Yeah. Well, okay,
so you're wrap it around 2 fingers.
Okay, so wait a minute now. Are you saying there is a weapon to go back against the aliens?
Oh, sure, Orgone. Orgone, I mentioned it on my sites. I have 3 websites just on Orgone. It annoys them, it burns them, they can't breathe around it. Chemtrails can't penetrate areas heavily that have Orgone in them. I've got people down in New Orleans now making Orgone blasters so the planes can't penetrate the area. And that's totally turning into an entire little police state down there in New Orleans. And they're blasting those people heavily with chemtrails. I've got people all over the United States making Orgone, putting it in their areas. They can't even penetrate my town with chemtrails.
Well, Sherry, I mean, if they were feasting on the carcasses down in New Orleans, weren't those waterlogged? I mean, didn't they probably didn't appreciate that, did they?
Well, you know what? They may have taken them before they even, died. Who knows?
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how, if they, it's like a war. These war zones, you hear about all these bodies, but no one can find the bodies. Well, where's the bodies?
Yeah, well, that is kind of true. Why don't they just grow some humans like the Matrix, and then they'll have a crop?
Well, they do. They do breed. They have, they have 20 space stations. We only know of one of them being a joint American-Russian space station that they make sound like it's barely operable.
Yeah, was that kind of the difference between, say, a chicken that's stuck in a coop in a factory rather than a chicken out in the ground there? I mean, so they like the ones running free?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've heard of underground bases in Texas and the one in Dulce people have been to and have seen humans locked up in cages.
Yeah.
And you got to realize there's aliens from all over the place, not just the ones that are here confined to Earth, but the ones who come here on ships from, like, the Orion constellation.
Yeah.
That feast on humans. They come here, grab and run.
Oh man, I hate that.
And you have, the ones underneath, bases all over the world. Bell in Brazil is a huge base.
Yeah.
America's got a huge base. There's just hundreds of bases all over the place. You have the aliens, the fallen angels that live underneath the ground. They're subterranean.
Yeah.
And then you have the ones that live within our solar system.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we take some of these carcasses and spread them around like there was a war or something, try to trick them, and have these bodies, and then inject them with some AIDS. And then when the aliens come down and pick them up, then they'll get AIDS and die off.
Well, AIDS isn't going to bother them. I mean, AIDS was created by them.
Yeah.
To kill off population. Kill off population, try to get it down to manageable numbers. They just one of their toys. They have many, all these epidemics coming.
All right. So AIDS would be just like a seasoning.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother.
Okay, season a human with AIDS. Okay. All right. Here's a question for you. When are you going to post new codes on your website?
You know what? I've been working on them, but I just never get around to posting them. I will eventually. I will. Yeah. I know I've been getting quite a few emails on when are you going to post a new code. And so, yeah, I will get around to posting some of the stuff that I have found. I've been looking at codes on some of their new weapons that they have out that they're tagging and targeting humans with.